Thank you to a friend and supporter of the channel, Wilson, for sending me your earphones. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to help people understand these earphones better, to see whether or not they like these or not, and whether they can put a smile on their face. These are the Moondrop Arias. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. These are the very first Moondrop earphones that I'm reviewing. A lot of people are right now drooling over the Moondrop Chews, which I hope I can get my hands on sometime soon. But for today, let's jump into how these Arias are built. If you've bought these or you're planning to, you're in for a luxury unboxing with them. The box has a beautiful print on it along with an anime waifu for some reason. And if you haven't been able to tell just yet, this is obviously a set of Hi-Fi IEMs. You have to slide the sleeve off to the side to reveal the box the earphones sit in. The box has a gorgeous carbon black finish with gold highlights and Aria written on the face. You flip the chin up, which is magnetically held, and proceed to flip the face to reveal what's in the box. You're greeted with the Arias waiting to be plucked out and used, as well as a carry pouch under this compartment and a few different sized ear tips. This seems really premium for the price it sits in. I've not had an unboxing experience like this with any TWS earphones I've reviewed in this price range. The Aria earphones seem to be made out of some sort of metal, so tend to have some weight to them and feel cold to the touch. The black powder coated finish is very well done, and the Aria print and accents on it are done rather cleanly. The cable provided is a braided one and looks like it'll last for years. It terminates to a universal 0.78 2-pin on the earphone end and a 3.5mm headphone jack on the other end. So if you want, you could always swap this cable for a better one, or even use a Bluetooth module for your convenience. The cable has a plastic mold that contours around your ear to make these a little more comfortable to wear. Considering these little earphones are made out of metal and feel heavy, I did think they'd feel uncomfortable to wear, but it's safe to say that I was wrong about that. There are no sharp edges, which I expected these to have, but they are neatly designed and sit quite flush in the ear without feeling cumbersome. Rather, they feel quite premium. They do feel cold to the touch if it's cool in your room, reminding you that they're made of metal and feel quite comfortable after you've inserted them into your ear canal. And I usually don't like using in-ears because I feel quite uncomfortable with something that deep inside my ear. The tips are quite soft on the ear canal, but if you don't have the right size tip on, it can tend to start hurting over longer listening sessions. The Arias come with a 10mm dynamic driver, and to begin with, when it came to the sound, I wasn't impressed with these at all. I have two reasons for that. The first being that I was in the middle of doing a whole bunch of in-depth reviews and comparisons with a whole bunch of TWS earphones, and as we all know, those tend to be rather exaggerated or colored when it comes to their sound. And the second reason being, I plug these into my portable setup, which dates back many years. So one thing I didn't expect these earphones to do is tell me exactly how good or bad my equipment was. So eventually I did end up unplugging from my portable setup and I plugged into my desk setup, and I can honestly say I was very pleasantly surprised. Something that I really didn't expect was how transparent these earphones could be, specifically with the equipment you're listening to. I switched between my portable setup, iPad and desk setup, and these earphones gave me a different presentation each time. These are transparent enough to let you know you're listening to compressed audio or high-res audio for certain. But I've never experienced a set of earphones in this price range to be able to decipher what kind of hardware you're using. No, obviously you're not going to need equipment as costly as my desk setup, but the perfect matching will be somewhere in between my older portable setup and my desk setup, obviously. On a volume front, I never found myself going beyond 25 or even 30% on any of the devices, be it my iPad, portable setup or desktop setup. That is partly thanks to the fact that these have a very easy to drive low resistance of just 32 ohms. And you can forget about going anywhere above 45% with these earphones on any device if you intend on preserving your hearing. When it comes to their sound stage, these do have a stage that goes slightly wider than your ears, and if you're listening to a good recording, they can tend to have slight vertical stage as well. Listening to Faithfully by Journey off of a DSD file, it pronounces the stage ever so clearly when the drums kick in at the 1 minute and 28 second mark. They start off from just outside your left ear, then move above your right eyebrow line and slowly pan into the phantom channel, with some beats coming from the right in a very subtle manner. It's a beautifully mixed track. When it comes to the imaging, they handle it more than well enough to let you zone into your nuances to have a more enjoyable listening experience. Whether you're listening to a solo or an entire music ensemble, there's good separation between each vocal and instrument, but I can't help but feel that these aren't as pin sharp as they could be. It feels as if these could perform better here with a better cable. I did experience something like this with the ZS-10 Pro I reviewed recently, as well as a pair of CCAs I heard at a Headphone Connect event. When it comes to the high frequencies, to begin with, they weren't too enthusiastic until I moved them onto better recorded audio. You've got their transparency to thank for that. This range is delivered with good energy, provided you have a good source of course, and never crosses over a line into being over enthusiastic. It is easy on the ear over longer listening sessions. I found myself feeling fatigued over the discomfort I feel with the in-ear design, but kept wanting to push my listening times with how well these handle their highs. The combination of the energetic highs and the imaging makes listening to music all the more enjoyable, since you're able to hear details so much clearer than other earphones I've tested in this range before, those being TWS earphones. Listening to Dream Theater's Hell's Kitchen, the highs, which could tend to be a little too brittle sounding with other earphones, are delivered to you in the most supple manner, almost as if intentionally trying to stay away from hurting your ears and scaring you away from these earphones. You can listen to just highs on this for hours without hurting your ears. Mid frequencies are like a cake cooked in an oven with a faulty heating rod. One side of the cake is risen and the other side didn't quite get the memo. The higher mid-range comes at you with a little more purpose than the lower mid-range, making female vocals come through significantly clearer than the male vocals. Although the male vocals don't sound at a lower volume, they tend to sound more distant and give this range a little more dimension. Instruments that exist in these frequencies also tend to have the same characteristics. Listening to Mozart's Requiem in D minor, Lacrimosa, being a very dynamic track, makes you understand just how well these earphones can handle a pin drop to a wall of sound. The female vocals come at you here with meaning, while the male vocals cradle them in support to deliver one of the most gorgeous pieces of music ever made. Are these the best sounding earphones I've ever heard this track on? Certainly not, but they do really well for what they are. Low frequencies tend to have a very calm approach and don't ever get belligerent in any way. These don't sound like they're out to prove anything to anyone and are very comfortable in their own skin. It doesn't overpower itself, so ensures an untouched mid-frequency range, ensuring an overall clean delivery of vocals. These are certainly not targeted at any bass enthusiasts, rather at someone who prefers a more natural delivery of lower registers. It tends to accentuate sub-low frequencies a tad bit more when listening to audio that has that kind of extension. Listening to Zed's Clarity, these earphones make it ever apparent that they're not tuned to be the EDM playback unit of earphones. The bass frequencies are certainly not as accentuated as bass heads would like, but these do have a little more extension in the sub-bass frequency range, giving them a little more body than what is expected on initial impressions. So to sum up, when it comes to their build, it is exceptionally made. It's a very neat looking pair of earphones that actually look quite premium. You wouldn't think that they sit in the price range that they do if someone just handed them to you and asked them how much they cost. But one thing I do wish they did, I mean, it does have a very nice looking cable. It's nicely braided, it's well built. But I do wish that there was a better sounding cable. Something just tells me that these earphones do have more to offer. They can sound a bit crisper, they can be a bit richer, and I'm pretty sure a different cable will help. I did experience this, as I mentioned, at the Headphone Connect event when I tested out a set of CCAs with a copper cable. I did experience this at the Headphone Connect event with the copper cable being paired with CCAs, I think, and maybe even with a set of KZ Acoustics earphones. And if it can make that much of a difference on earphones that cost sub 4,000 rupees, I'm pretty sure it'll make a difference with these as well. These earphones lean more towards giving you a balanced experience with sound. It's not really meant to be colored and flamboyant like a lot of TWS earphones that I usually review. Classical music, choral music, anything instrumental, anything a cappella, anything that even has a whole bunch of harmonies sounds absolutely terrific on these earphones. I do wish it did have a little more bass for listening to rock music, but I've come to realize that, I mean, even I've got a whole bunch of headphones, but I keep some headphones for specific genres of music. No set of earphones can be all-rounders for absolutely everything. And if I did own these earphones, I'd most probably use them for these kind of genres. These are a step into the hi-fi world. You will be exposed to high-res music. You're not limited or restricted to SBC and AAC like most TWS earphones have. You'll be opening a much larger world to your ears with these earphones. Now, when it comes to driving them, yes, you will need something, I presume, that's better than your phone, considering how transparent these are. You might just have to have a USB-C to 3.5 mm dongle that's a decent DAC. You might have to have a decent portable setup where you have a decent DAC or even DAP with an inbuilt DAC and a separate amplifier, or you could even have your own separate desktop setup. Now, I'm not saying you need something as expensive or high-end as the desktop setup that I have, but you need something that, like I mentioned, you can get in touch with the guys at Headphone Zone. I'm sure they'll be able to guide you in the right direction to actually achieve the best sound you can get out of whatever earphones you own. So how much do these earphones cost? Well, at the time of recording this, at least their MRP is about 8,999, and it looks like they're going for about 7,490 right now, like I said, at the time of recording this. You can pick these earphones up from headphonezone.in. They've got a plethora of earphones and headphones. If you have not visited them, I recommend that you do. They've got some terrific stuff. They've brought in a whole lot of global brands that you normally wouldn't really see in the country, and it gives a terrific exposure to us into the hi-fi world, and at the same time introduces you to hi-fi at a much more affordable price range that you didn't think was possible. So do consider giving them a look. And would I recommend these earphones? Well, they are a very good set of earphones at a pretty decent price. Yes, you might have to invest in a little extra equipment, so your budget isn't just the 7,500 to buy them. If you're getting into this hobby of listening to higher res music and you want to get into the audiophile hobby, yes, you might have to spend a little extra bucks in the long run, but there can be no end to it. But it's good to start somewhere. Now, earlier it was, the notion was always that, oh, if you want to get into audiophilia, it's going to cost you, well, nothing less than 30, 40, 50,000 bucks. That's not the case anymore. There are companies like this, like Moondrop. There are companies like KZ Acoustics. So you can get you can step into the hi-fi world even at prices as low as maybe 2,000, 2,500, 4,000 and so on. You can have a look at the KZ Acoustics review I did, which was also provided by my friend and supporter of the channel, Wilson, who's made this video possible. So if you're considering getting into this hobby, it is good fun. It helps terrifically with getting rid of stress at the end of the day if you do like listen to music. And yes, of course, I would recommend these earphones. Moondrop has done a very good job with these. These are really premium sounding and premium feeling earphones for their price. And of course, I do hope I helped you make some sort of purchase decision. And if you're still here, I presume you do like the content on my channel. And if you do want to support the channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. And of course, thank you for tuning into Paul's POV for some sound advice.